And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Live Reality Game Shows podcast, where I'm going over the Syrvivor Syracuse Heroes vs. Villains, episode 6, double tribal episode. As you can see, I'm on my own today because, well, people got sick, people couldn't make it, so you're stuck with me and Ahin. She's joining me for moral support. She won't be commenting on this episode. Um, Bear with me here, people. I'm probably the only person that's ever done this on LRG. If somebody has any proof of somebody doing this before me, feel free to probably compare. So this episode begins with everyone pretty much commenting on the saddest moment ever, Madison being voted off. As you can see by here, her being voted off means she's now kicked off the podcast. She's not allowed back unless she comes back in the game with an Edge of Extinction twist. Foreshadowing. But Madison will probably come back. I know that's the reason people come. Many people are like upset. Obviously, Jake's upset. He's happy he survived, but he's upset Madison's gone. Jack, he could have done something, decided not to. He wanted to keep his title for himself, but we'll get into that. Gabby's the only one Gabby's very happy because she finally got rid of Madison. Only took her, 5 tribals? And pretty much everyone was surprised with the amount of villains that flipped on Madison, being all of them, except for Madison herself. Because they always said, like, oh, Madison has the most ties out of everyone. She's friends with everyone, yet everyone was so quick to flip on her. We'll see soon if it was the right decision to vote off Madison and not Jake. I personally think Jake's more of a threat, and I'm sure someone like Eli with this situation kind of wishes maybe I should have voted down Jake and not Madison. That way he could have had a shot this episode. So this episode is the tribe swap, and it's not like any other tribe swaps we've seen. This one, the players are being drafted by team captains, and those captains are Wardog, Lauren, and Kelly Wentworth. The 3 Survivor players, the Lesu 3 from Edge of Extinction. They got to pick, I think people send in like maybe a 1 or 2 minute video explaining another game to them, why they should be picked, and Lauren, Wardog, and Kelly got to draft them. We find out the Wardog tribe, Wardog picked Dan, Jesus, that's his first name, picked Derek, Cameron, Catherine, Holly, and Austin. Lauren picked Owen, Hannah, Cassidy, Mitch, and Carl. And then Kelly picked Jake, Jack, Abby, Gabby, and Eli. She really loves those rhyming names. So as you can see how the tribes are divided, one tribe, the Wardog tribe, is full of heroes. Well, we all know everyone's secretly a villain. The Wentworth tribe is 4 villains and 1 hero, with Eli being the one. And then the Lauren tribe is 3 heroes, Carl, Cassidy, and Mitch, and 2 villains, Owen and Hannah. So some people are happy. I mean, the heroes are happy, like, yay, we don't have to interact with any villains. But some of them are thinking, oh, if we lose, we are guaranteed to vote off a hero. The villains are happy because they have a majority on the tribe, which is something they're not used to. And the one hero that's on their tribe is the quote unquote leader of the heroes. And then the other tribe is obviously, it's a 3-2 majority heroes, minority villains. So we get to the challenge, which is greed. A good old Survivor classic. What greed is pretty much there's a hidden immunity idol set in the distance. Whoever grabs it is safe. However, their tribe is going to tribal. We saw this last season with Mind, Body, and Soul, with good old Greed King Owen here. It was also on Maryland Survivor. We saw that with Dylan from New Beginnings getting it. And pretty much both tribes are thinking, we can't get it. We need to get the Lauren tribe to pick it. Because the Wardog tribe are all heroes. They don't want to grab it because, well, if they grab it, a hero is guaranteed going home, and they're a cult of each other. Not my words, I'm quoting Jack. Also my words. The Wentworth tribe don't want to get it because if they grab it, Eli could easily have an idol, or somebody can give Eli an idol, and then one of them goes home. Eli is not there. He's most likely quarantining, if I had to guess. It was filmed during COVID. So, of all the days to not be there, this is probably one of the worst, because I'm pretty sure Eli would have immediately ran to grab it to guarantee probably like Jake or Jack going. Most likely Jake. And so it's just pretty much we need to get somebody from the Lauren tribe to run for it. And at first, it's like a standoff with heroes and villains. Jack trying to stir the pot. Heroes are like, we love each other, which is really starting to get annoying when I'm someone who doesn't like the loyalty game. I mean, obviously, there's people who's like, I want to be a loyal person because I think this reflects on me. It's a game, nobody cares. Well, so, but the loyalty game is really boring. Like, you're just going to stick with a group of people that you were just happened to be assigned with on the first day. So, that's not going to make for an interesting show, which Jack calls them out for, which he's not wrong. Because all the pre merge stuff has been very villain focused. It's probably because they went to the most tribals. But even the one hero tribal, it was not that interesting because everyone was just like, yeah, everyone is great, and I don't want to vote off anyone. While the villains are like, okay, who can we throw under the bus in order to help us get further? So that's a talk. But Mitch decides he runs and gets the hidden immunity idol, sending the Lauren tribe to tribal council. He pretty much says he did it so he can protect Eli, make sure he doesn't go to a tribal or go home because they're tight. And people are not happy. Owen wishes he ran for it, keeping his title. Carl, he wishes. Hannah is, of course, upset because this is her placement point. Because this is when her placement is when she went home on season 2. And she's definitely not happy. We'll see that later on. But it's pretty much confirmed the Lauren tribe going to tribal, Wardog and Wentworth tribes are safe. So we get the tribal segments, the Wardog segment, which is consists of nothing but heroes, pretty much all of them saying, "Oh yay, we're all heroes. We don't have to interact with villains." But obviously they lose. A villain guarantee goes home, and Austin, being the little strategic mind he is, sees that Derek, Cameron, and Catherine are kind of a trio. And as much as Holly is a target because he thinks he has an idol, which she does, and Holly has ties to people. She's close with Cassidy, and she most likely can easily form other relationships. The he sees that both him and Holly are the main targets. So he sees, okay, since me and Holly are the main targets, I have to work with Holly for the time being in order to survive. This definitely reminds me of Scotty Survivor when Leo and Dorothy worked together because they're two people that didn't really work together that much until they were put on a minority tribe together. So I kind of see that relationship. It will only last if they go to a tribal. However, for Holly's side, she doesn't really see what Austin sees. So she'd be happy to vote him off. But also Derek, she wants to work with the girls, Catherine and Cam, because people are realizing that Derek, he's well liked by the heroes. I'm sure the villains are not happy with him. So that can easily be something to drag on. Heroes will want to keep him because he's loyal Derek. Villains want to keep him. It's like he has no strategic game whatsoever. So he'd be easy to use. But the problem is he's very close-minded. And then we get to the Wentworth tribe, where people are happy because it's a villain majority. Well, everybody except Eli. We get a lot of Gabby, not strategy Gabby. We just get fun Gabby, where it's just like she talks about like, oh god, we have to wear trainers. This just reminds me of running, which traumatized me my first season, because that's pretty much the reason people got rid of me. I couldn't run up hills, which can't blame a girl. They are not fun. Eli is on his own. He's scared going to a tribal. But you think Eli, Jack, and Abby, why did you have to pick names that sound similar? Wentworth are former Maroon 9 members. But not only that, they were the 3 people that worked together. So you think that's a tie, but it's kind of not. Jack and Eli are not working together, it seems. They they're too sneaky. Eli definitely wants to go very hero route. Jack wants to go very villain route. And we get a lot. We realize how much power Abby has on the tribe. Because Abby's the cipher of information for everyone. Abby gives information to Jake that she gets from Jack and Eli. Eli gets information from Abby that she gets from Jack and Jake, and then Jack gets information from Abby that Eli gets. So Abby is the person everyone's going to, and I think kind of doesn't realize, but she has the power of the tribe because I'm pretty sure everyone's working with her, and everyone spills their guts to her. She easily pretty much can do whatever she wants, and she probably won't, and doesn't matter what her decision is, it will be a good one, whether she works with Jake, Jack, Gabby, or Eli. If it was, I don't know what I would do if I was in Abby's situation. Most likely they will not go to a tribal because I don't see them going to one unless, well, we find out at the end of the episode that the Lauren tribe is gone as quick as it lasted for one episode, and we'll see how that works. So, speaking of the Lauren tribe, we pretty much get back to sad Hannah because Hannah really wanted to be safe. She wanted to make a past replacement, but she's upset because she's the obvious target. The heroes don't like her, as we saw by the superlatives. And Carl's just immediately like, yeah, has to be Hannah. Want to keep Owen, and then Mitch and Cassidy at first were like, yeah, villain. We don't really want to work with Hannah, probably. But Carl is not amused with how simple the game is appearing to be. He wants to make a move. He didn't get to play much of a game in his mind last season due to the fact that he went home quite early in the merge. He went home via a rock draw, and that's the only reason he's considered a hero, because he pretty much died a hero and he didn't live long enough to become a villain. And this time he's changing that right away with wanting to flip on the heroes and target Cassidy because he's not voting for Owen, because he and Owen are a tight group. They apparently live near each other as well as live near Eli. And since he wants to flip on the heroes, he can't really vote for Hannah because he doesn't want to make the easy move. So that only leaves Cassidy since Mitch is immune, thanks to the greed. And he was like, "Yep, I'm flipping. Sorry, Cass, but I'm going with the villains. We need to shake up the game." And of course, Owen's happy to hear this because they're working together. I'm sure most of the heroes are happy to hear this. Um, Hannah, little Hannah, she kind of, it's kind of weird how Mitch and Cassidy discover that Carl is flipping because it's from a conversation that Cassidy has with Hannah. Hannah pretty much tells Cass that Carl is not voting Owen and that he only has two options, which are Cassidy and Hannah. And that kind of sparked something in Mitch and Cassidy being like, why would they're kind of like confused on why would he even consider voting Cassidy instead of just straight up saying, yeah, I'm voting for Hannah, which makes them believe Carl is probably going to flip and not be so hero esque. And this kind of looked like hidden feelings because Mitch was like, yep, that pretty much confirms I'm voting for Carl. And Hannah goes from being the target to being the swing vote because Owen and Carl, they're tight. They're going to vote for Cassidy. Mitch and Cassidy, they don't trust Carl now since he's like, yeah, I'm flipping. So they're going to vote for him. And now Hannah is left with the power to decide to vote off Carl or vote off Cassidy. Either way, a hero is going home. And Hannah decides to send home Carl. Carl goes home 3-2, and now I'm not, since I am alone, might as well bring some. So yeah, Carl goes home 3-2. I usually show like every Survivor I've watched, but the list would be too long and no one would be able to see it, so I just narrowed it down to the college survivors. So there's Carl, he joins Eli, who was also thrown. A lot of people in the college Survivor that rolled off 3-2 are like power players. Like you see the Michigan people, you have Thal and Eliza, two very great players. In Boston, Lexi was a strong player. In Maryland, you see, Sabrina, we all saw her All Stars, and then of course Victoria, probably one of the best college Survivor players to never win. And then this season you got Eli and Carl. You have a few people who are like, oh yeah, but a lot of people get voted off 3-2 that are huge power players. And with Carl being voted off, of course the heroes are shocked. They're like, wait, a hero went home on a hero majority tribe? They are just confused. They're like, what? And then people pretty much explain like, oh, Carl flipped. It was going to be a hero regardless. And Hannah was the one that decided. The villains were not happy that Hannah voted Carl over Cassidy. Probably because they saw Carl as their one hope to kind of stop the heroes' cult mentality. And they're they're making it very vocal to Hannah and the audience that she made the wrong decision. Now, looking back at the episode, because I had to rewatch it just to remind myself of everything that happened, it is kind of like maybe Hannah should have voted for Cassidy because Cassidy probably won't work with many of the villains, and Hannah is someone um, that the heroes do not want to work with unless they're going to give her a second chance, which is highly doubtful for these heroes. Air quotes heroes. So, like, Jack's not happy, Jake's not happy, Owen's, of course, not happy, all men. And Hannah's happy. She beat her placement. She is officially doing better. I think out of the cast, she's like the second or third. I'll have to look at all the placements because I'm pretty obviously no Cam beat her placement of first boot / 17th. Yeah, I think it's only Cam and Hannah at this point because I think Catherine's placement was 11, so we have a few more to go. And then Mitch, I think his was 12th. I'm just trying to think of all the and Gabby beat her placement. So well done to you three for so far being the only three to beat their placements. And after that, we get to the challenge, a balloon popping challenge. The challenge where balloons are taped to your feet and you have to try and step on other people's and pop them. This challenge usually really shows like social strategy because you're like, who do you target first? Because the person you target first is obviously the person that you don't want to win immunity the most. But this one you didn't really get a lot of that. It was just mostly chaotic, and we got once again the Lauren tribe going to tribal council. Oh, War Dog tribe came first, so they get an idol clue. Wentworth tribe came second, so they get safe. And we get more talk from all the tribes, pretty much the same stuff that we got a couple in the first half of this episode. But Austin decides to share the clue with Owen, who of course shares it with all the villains. So everybody now knows the idol clue for this idol. So he really dug himself a grave sharing that clue with Owen. Because Carl's last words to Austin were to work with Owen. So obviously it was most likely a dying wish along, like fulfilling a dying wish. So yeah, I'll work with Owen, I'll share this idol clue. But it got out and now all of the people are like, why the hell, Austin, did you share these idols? So it was most likely just to gain trust with Owen because he needs people outside of the heroes. I think he finally realizes that. Some people are still waiting to realize that. And weirdly, all the heroes agree. It's just like we all agree not to hunt for the idol, and then thankfully Catherine has a brain cell. It's like, yeah, I'm looking for the idol. It doesn't look like that she found it, Although she didn't find a leaf crown like she did season 1, so a little bit of improvement, so good on ya. We get a lot of Catherine strategy, which I feel like is a shock because we didn't get a lot of her, if any, her first season, and we're getting, like, a lot of, like, Catherine confessional seeing, like, her plan story. She definitely seems like she's playing a loyal game, which Jake really hates. This is a weird rivalry between these two. It's like it came out of nowhere. It's like the two people from season 1 that had, like, no interaction because they were never on the same tribe. And then it's like, oh god, like, Catherine always wants to play loyalty, and Jake is never happy with her. I have terrible handwriting. I just realized that. Actually, I've always known that, but it just gets more. So the only part of the Wentworth tribe that we really get is Jack considering, like, giving his idol to Owen or at least faking an idol for him. And here I am thinking, it's like, why didn't you do that for Madison? Which I think would have been better than being like two tribals later, being like, oh yeah, now I want to give my idol to someone. Because the first time yeah, people maybe could have argued, oh, maybe he wanted to keep both. Well, Madison had the idol duplicator. That's what this twist was for. We could have seen it. We could have still had Madison. But no. So that's mostly what the Wentworth tribe talks about. It's like, oh, will we, won't we give the idol to Owen? And then on the Lauren tribe, the Lolly tribe, it's pretty much Owen is going home. That's what Cassie and Mitch are doing. They're trying to get Hannah on board. And then Owen, Jake, and Jack are trying to get Hannah. No, keep Owen. Vote off Mitch or Cassidy. And Hannah's having trouble with that because Mitch and her, they're good friends from season 2. They were close. Like, Mitch was one of the people that did not vote off Hannah in that transition tribe and I know crush her. And it's she's really trying to play a different game, and the guys are just not having it. They're like, Hannah is an emotional player. She's making horrible decisions. Like, Mitch is like the snake that's just gonna cut her off at the end. And it doesn't seem like Mitch is that kind of person, let alone player, to be like, yeah, this girl that's like my friend that I know like has strong emotions to this, I'm just gonna cut them off. And I don't know if this just comes from them like not really knowing Mitch, never really interacting with him, but it's a lot of pretty much harsh comments. And oh, just poor Hannah. Poor Hannah this season. I feel like everyone just like prejudges her and just doesn't give her the credit. Like, yeah, it's emotional decisions, but you're all complaining about, I don't want this to be tribes, and she's like the only person that's not making this about tribes. Well, and Carl, but we all saw what happened to him. So it's pretty much all the heroes. The War Dog tribe wants to stay hero strong. The Wentworth tribe, minus Eli, wants to stay villain strong. And then you have the little Lolly trio, well, soon to be trio. They're like, we want to mix it up. Well, Hannah wants to mix it up. She knows that the villains are a sinking ship. And she wants to be like, I want to try with new people. So she's pretty much struggling with wanting to vote off Mitch, which she eventually does not do. Because when we get to Tribal, Owen pulls out the idol. It turns out Jack did give it to him. I asked if this was the idol that the clue to the idol that the heroes got, or was this Jack's idol? Thank you, Madison, for letting me know that it was Jack's idol. And Owen plays the idol, and he decides to send home Mitch. So Mitch goes home. He is actually the first Syracuse person to go home 3-1. 3-1. Because so far the final four, usually majority of these votes are final four votes. You have the occasional only 4 members in a tribe with like Joe from Esplanade or Shayna from New Beginnings, Taylor. Not all of these are final fours. but it's the first Syracuse 3-1 because the final four votes for the past 3 seasons were a tie, and then a 2-1-1 vote. So congrats to Mitch for being the first 3-1 person to be voted off. It seems like Mitch can only be voted off by one vote from an idol play that Jack gave to someone, because in season 2 he gave his idol to Erica. She played the idol and voted off Mitch. Season 4 he gave the idol to Owen and he voted off Mitch. So Jack once again got rid of Mitch for some reason. Was Mitch the better decision than Cassidy? To me, yes, because Cassidy only really has Holly, and then people are targeting Holly. Mitch has more ties, and that's probably why Owen or Jack and Jake told Owen to vote for Mitch over Cassidy, because Mitch has more ties than her. Mitch has Eli, who everyone considers a threat. He has Cam. We know that they're a tight trio. He most likely has other people as well. He has Hannah, as we just discovered. Hannah did not vote for Mitch. She couldn't have. She wasn't even going to entertain the idea of oh, I'll just keep both tribes happy and vote for Cassidy, which maybe she could have done and be like, listen, I couldn't vote for Mitch, but I'm not going to write down your name, so I'm just going to throw my vote on Cassidy. And she probably didn't do that because she wants to be a loyal player. She wants to be loyal to people. She doesn't want to be the same Hannah Dolan who's idol crazy and just paranoid all the time. Now she's just emotional all the time. So it turns, and then Hannah's the only one that never knew about Jack's idol, because Jake found it with Jack. Abby was the one who told him where to go. In the beginning of the episode, he told Gabby for some reason. I guess Gabby's his new Madison now. Sorry, Madison, for that comparison, if you're watching. And then he told Owen to be I might use this idol on you. It's Hannah's the only one that they're not telling. If you don't want the girl to flip on you, you have to include her in these conversations. It's I don't understand why Hannah's doing this. Maybe because you guys are barely including her. Listen, college Survivor players, they're not on the level of actual Survivor players. Speaking of which, the Lolly tribe is now dissolved. Lauren decides to put casting on the Wardog tribe, making it more heroes. Put Hannah on the villains tribe. Well, might as well be on the Wentworth tribe, making it more heroes. And now Owen's in exile. So pretty much Owen is now safe for this next episode, most likely. And it's now 6 heroes versus 5 villains and Eli. So this is going to be interesting. The next episode, I feel like the War Dog, yeah, I'm just going to say Heroes Tribe because that's pretty much what it is. The Heroes Tribe it's they know, if we win, Eli's going home unless Holly gives her idol to him, which, knowing Holly is a player, I feel like she would do that. She'd probably give her idol to Eli, but I don't know if she probably would. But if the heroes lose, then I'm gonna have to vote off one of their own, which is probably better at this point. If they lose, they can vote off Austin or Holly or Cassidy, which is most likely more important than getting rid of some of these villains. Jack is somebody that's going to be a target right off the gate at the merge. Same with Jake. And then Hannah is, the heroes will not work with. Abby and Gabby are probably the two that are the most okay, but they are two people that they're the two people that when it's just down to those two, some heroes will be okay, now it's time to start devouring our own, because nobody wants to see this whole pigong happen or tribe stay together. It's one of the reasons why Syracuse season 2 is not a good season. No offense, but it's not, because the tribes were so fixated on each other. There was no fluidity. Nobody wanted to work with anyone else. They wanted to stick with the people that they were randomly assigned with on day one. And there was no meshing. It was always just one tribe versus the other, and then it was just one by one by one by one. And made for a not interesting season. But you have like season, I can't really name a season where it's like, oh, tribes meshed well together, because it's majority of the seasons usually. And that is the end of the episode. I somehow managed to drag on this for half an hour. I am sorry to everyone. And I now need to go answer to people that are leaving me question marks, because when I ask them to come here, I delete the message hoping that they wouldn't see it. So thanks everybody for watching. If you want to see Syrvivor Syracuse, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow them all at socials. If you join the Survivor Reddit Discord, there is a Survivor Syracuse channel where all Survivor Syracuse talk happens. I'm in it. There's a couple of players from this season, past seasons are in it. I know Madison's in it, Jake's in it, Paul's in it. I think I just saw Cassidy in it, which a little bit of a shock, but woo. If you want more live reality game show podcast stuff, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow all the socials, join the Facebook group, and I will see you next week, hopefully with someone, to talk about Survivor Syracuse Heroes versus Villains. Bye, guys.